Must go on screen. So I'm here with my reflection on working with the UJ Coding Club, specifically on two platforms which were Scratch Coding and then also Ocha Studio. So I'll start with Scratch Coding, which was the first platform we began working on. Because it was the first platform we worked on coding, it was a little bit hard for me considering my technological background, at which I had problems with manipulating the coding blocks and also helping them move into the logical order at which I wanted it to move on. I also had a lot of problems adding sound on my Octo Studio. I thought that I couldn't hear well whenever I was in the tutorials, but then as time went by, I noticed that there were problems with my computers. So I had to do a lot of troubleshooting in order to be able to add sound on Scratch coding platform. So yeah, that's one of the skills I learned from Scratch coding, which was troubleshooting. So I learned that the word, no, I didn't learn, but then it got implied to me and also cemented that the word impossible never, it doesn't exist because it also says impossible. So there's nothing impossible, if you get me. Yeah, but then I managed to see the point that before you can say something is impossible, first give it a try and see if ever you can be able to achieve it or not. And then secondly, I learned critical thinking skills, which were mostly enhanced on me. Yeah, my critical thinking skills were enhanced, especially with me being able to apply my computational thinking skills knowledge. So basically, I was able to integrate my theoretical knowledge on computational thinking into be able to design platforms which are more interactive for students and for learners. So working with Scratch coding platforms helped me to be more open towards using technological platforms in order to make learners more engaging and more welcoming towards learners, especially looking at the 21st century where collaboration is the most skill which is emphasized. So tools like Scratch coding can help learners collaborate on ideas and also share ways in order to solve different problems. Just like the games which can be created, which can also bring on hands activity, allowing learners to work together in order to help to apply hands-on activities to solve those problems. I also managed to see that sketch coding can be a most powerful tool, especially for education. Thinking about the different phases as a teacher of the lesson plan, I noticed that the scratch coding can be most helpful in my introduction phase, especially the interactive game one. Because when I introduce a new topic, I need to make sure that I capture the learner's attention and I also capture their motivation in order to learn about the topic. So having learners interact hands-on with the activity and the content, it makes them more willing to learn and understand more about the underlying concepts and the principles of that following content we'll be covering. So overall, I felt like Scratch coding can enhance learners' hands-on activity and also enhance their motivation in order to learn about a certain topic before we get into the actual learning. The second platform we got to was Octa Studio. Octa Studio's experience was nevertheless almost the same as Scratch coding, but then the difference here, which was, I can say, an advantage towards me. We started with Scratch, so coming to Octa Studio was much more easier because I was used to the platform. No, no, not specifically the platform, but then I was used to manipulating the coding blocks, at which I saw that it was the fundamental lying structure in coding, being able to manipulate the coding blocks and make them move towards the certain points you want them to move to. So I was able to create different games and also see ways in which learners can be able to um, interact actively with Octo Studio, especially when it comes to the different coding blocks that it offers, which are different to Scratch, and they can also be flexible. Octo Studio can be super flexible for you to use. But then the problem was that I had a hard time manipulating the coding blocks simply because my thumbs were a little bit too big. So yeah, I had a time manipulating them and also moving them between spaces at which I specifically wanted them and performing that job at which I wanted them to perform at that specific space. So working with Octa Studio, besides the difficulty of the thing, my big fingers and manipulating them, I feel like it was much more easier because the calling box are also much closer to you, so you can move them and also remove them anytime you want, which is much quick, which I feel like can be very helpful to learners, especially with poor technological background knowledge. So yeah, overall that was my reflection on how I found the UJ Creative Club experience. I really got to enhance my troubleshooting skills, my critical thinking skills, and also my collaboration. Because in order to troubleshoot a lot of problems, I had to consult a lot of my buddies and also work to them hand in hand with them in order for them to show me on how to basically solve the problem. And I also learned to communicate more with people in order to get problems solved, especially problem at which I can solve at the moment. So yeah, I hope you have the same experience with UJ Clothing Club. Good luck with yours. Thank